Congratulations on your commitment to good health, and thank you for purchasing your brand new Jupiter Neptune Ionizer. I'd also like to thank you for taking the time to watch this short video. The video has all the information you'll need to get the most out of your investment. In it, you'll learn how to install your ionizer, how to operate and adjust it, and how to maintain and protect your investment. And please, watch the whole video. It really does answer all the questions you may have. And if you have further questions, refer to your owner's manual, which has detailed instructions including great photos and a great troubleshooting section. We'll start by opening the top of the box by taking down the cardboard tab and opening the lid. At the top of the box, you'll see a styrofoam packing piece which contains a few parts. Your pH reagent kit, the diverter bag, the 3 test tubes for testing pH. Then we'll lay the box down and we'll remove the installation bag, which contains the 3 hoses, including the alkaline drinking water spout, your warranty card, your manual, this DVD. And then next we'll gently slide the ionizer out of the box. And we'll remove the plastic bag. You'll note that there could be a fairly strong smell when we remove the bag, but that's absolutely normal, and that smell will dissipate after a day or so. Next, we'll take a quick tour of the features on the machine. While your new Neptune is a powerful and sophisticated ionizer, the front panel is elegant in its simplicity. Let's go over the features. This is the front control panel where you'll control the function of the machine. It will also tell you what function it's in. This is the digital filter life indicator, which will tell you when to replace the filter. This LED, when it's lit, shows that the machine is actually processing the water. This is the low pressure alarm, telling you that you'll need to increase water pressure to the machine. And this hot water alarm lets you know that you've inadvertently run hot water through your machine. I'm now tracing the outline of the filter housing door, which is where you'll access the filter to change it when you need to. On the top of the machine, we've got the calcium port. Most areas of the country, you'll have plenty of naturally occurring calcium in the water already, and you won't need to add calcium. In areas where your tap water comes out at pH 6 or lower, you may want to use this feature. This is the alkaline drinking water port that we'll put the flexible drinking water spout into right now. First we'll remove it from the bag. Make sure you remove the little black cap, and you'll notice that the spout is threaded, and that just screws right into the port, nice and easy. Hand tight, you don't want to over tighten it. It's that simple. Moving to the back of the machine, you've got your keyhole slots where you can use these to mount the machine on the wall if you choose. This is a great feature. This is the speaker volume control. Using a small Phillips screwdriver, you can actually control the sound coming out of your machine, turn it up or down. And the on-off power switch. And this is where you would replace the fuse if you ever need to. Moving to the bottom of the machine, you've got your tap water inlet port, which is where we'll connect the hose from your faucet, and that's labeled with a blue sticker. And then your acid water outlet port, which is labeled with a red sticker. And finally, you've got your 3-pronged power cord. Now let's install your new ionizer. We'll start the installation by going over the contents of the diverter bag. First, you have the diverter itself, and then a variety of adapter pieces in case the diverter doesn't attach directly to your faucet. A couple of spare O-rings, the two hose clamps, which we'll show you how to use in a minute when we install the hoses, and a couple of screws and anchors in case you want to install your ionizer on the wall. Let's install the diverter first by coming to the faucet and removing the aerator. Generally, you should be able to do this with your fingers, but if you can't loosen it up, start with the pliers until you can finger loosen it. We'll try to screw the diverter directly to your faucet, and you can see in this case that it doesn't attach. So we'll find the appropriate adapter piece and we'll screw that on. Just hand tight is usually good enough, but those threads are sharp, so I like to use a little cloth to tighten that up. And then the diverter should screw right into that adapter. And again, hand tight is usually just fine. If you find that your diverter leaks, you may want to use a few wraps of Teflon plumber's tape, which is available for $1 or so at any good hardware store. Next, we'll come over to the machine and install the two hoses to the bottom. We'll begin by turning the ionizer on its side. Notice that I have a towel here to protect the back of the ionizer. We'll begin by installing the tap water inlet hose to the tap water inlet port. First, we'll remove the black rubber cap, and then we'll attach the white hose to the port. Before we do that, we'll want to attach the hose clamp to the white hose so that we can slide it over the port. You'll notice that I've installed the clamp on the hose. Do this before you install the hose onto the port, and then once the hose is firmly on the port, position the clamp over the port. So to install it, you just simply slip it over, and a lot of times you'll find that that's fairly difficult. So we soak the end in warm water for about 10 to 15 seconds, and that usually makes a difference. Make sure to brace the port with your free hand and make sure that the hose goes all the way onto the port so that you have a nice secure connection. Next, we'll install the acidic water outlet port. And again, we'll begin by removing the little rubber black cap. And you'll notice again that I've installed the little brass clamp. This one goes on fairly easy. Make sure that you push that hose all the way to the end of the port. You'll notice I've used a pair of pliers to position the small brass compression clamp over the port. Do this with both the white and the gray hose. Next, we'll attach the white tap water inlet port to the diverter. You'll want to find a convenient place to position your ionizer. In this case, we're on the right side of the sink. Then we'll install the white tap water inlet port to your diverter. First thing you'll want to do is approximate the length of white hose that you'll need to connect to the diverter. And then you'll want to add a little bit extra for slack in case you have to reposition your ionizer. You can cut the white hose using a sharp pair of scissors or a sharp knife, making sure to make a nice clean cut. This is important so that your machine will not leak at the fittings. Next, we'll want to attach the white hose to the diverter. We'll swivel the diverter so that the lever is at the back of the faucet and the compression nut is on the front. we'll remove the small compression nut, slide the compression nut over the white hose, attach the white hose to the nipple on the diverter, and reattach the compression nut. Again, hand tight should be just fine. Lastly, we'll position the gray hose into the sink, and you can trim that to any length you want that's convenient for you. It's that simple. Your ionizer is now installed and ready for use. Now that your ionizer is all connected to the faucet and the diverter, the last thing we have to do is power it up. You'll notice the plug has 3 prongs, and you'll want to use an appropriate outlet. Simply plug it in, and using the on-off power switch on the back, turn it on. When you do this, you'll notice the machine cycles through some numbers on the digital filter life counter. You'll hear a tune, and then the power LED will illuminate red. Now that your ionizer is installed and all powered up, let's learn how to use it. You'll note that the power button and the red power LED is still lit. The first thing we'll do is come to the faucet and turn the tap on to a nice easy flow. About medium's good. Then with the lever on the diverter, we'll divert the water to the machine by turning the lever. This will cause the water to process through your ionizer. When the water first comes out, the very first time you use it, it could be discolored. That's carbon dust, which is absolutely normal for any carbon filter. Now, to start your machine processing the water, we'll simply depress the power button once. The LED will go green, which will cause the machine to go into cleaning cycle, indicated by the cosmetic buttons being lit and this tune to play. When the cycle automatically completes, it will revert to the last setting that you had the machine on automatically, which in this case was 1 alkaline. To select alkaline water, you simply depress whatever button you want. If you want level 2, you depress 2. The LED indicator moves up the scale, and you'll notice that the ionization LED indicator is on, indicating that the machine is processing the water. To select acidic water, we'll push the cosmetic button, and that causes the tune to play. And just like with the alkaline setting, you can cycle it through the different levels by depressing the button. The tune will always play to let you know that acidic water is now coming out of the drinking water spout. Filtered water is achieved by just depressing the filtered button. Now you'll note that the ionization light is no longer lit, meaning that the water is not processing through the ionization chamber, but rather just filtering through your BioStone filter. To turn your ionizer off, you simply turn the water off at the faucet or flip the diverter lever. And that will stop the flow of water through your ionizer, and it will go to sleep. The lights will go off. You'll notice that the green power LED is still lit, and that's fine. Just leave the power on for regular use. The only time you would turn the power button off is during an extended vacation. And this is what the machine will look like when it's in between uses. When you turn the machine on, each time you do so, it will start up in cleaning cycle, indicated by the lights and the tune. You can supersede the cleaning cycle by depressing whatever level of alkaline water you choose, and that reverts the machine to processing alkaline water. The machine only needs to clean all the way through its automatic cleaning cycle once a day, and we suggest you do that in the morning. Next, let's learn how to optimize the performance of your ionizer. And you do this by learning how to test the water. We'll take the test kit out of the styrofoam top. The test kit includes in the bag the color chart, which is actually a sticker. You can peel this off and put it on your machine if you choose, or somewhere handy. It includes a dropper bottle of reagent drops, and this is where we include the spare fuse in case you ever need to change the fuse. You'll also want one of the 3 test tubes. Now, to begin to test the water, we'll start the machine to process the water, again with a medium flow. The machine will come on in the cleaning cycle, and we'll supersede that and select a 1 on the alkaline side. So starting with the machine on an alkaline setting of 1, let's test the water. First, you'll fill up the test tube about halfway. And place 2 of the reagent drops into the test tube and shake it up. And you've got a nice blue color indicating about an 8 on the pH scale. Let's increase the alkalinity level to 3 and retest the water. You always need to let some water cycle through the machine to make sure you're testing the appropriate level water. It takes about 5 to 10 seconds or so, usually as long as it takes you to rinse out your test tube. So half the test tube, 2 more drops of the reagent, finger, shake, and we've got a nice violet color indicating about a 9 on the pH scale. Now I'm going to show you the impact that the flow rate through the machine makes on the alkaline level. You can see here that we've got a nice, easy, medium flow. And you can see that by opening the faucet, I can get a faster flow, or closing the faucet, I can get a slower flow. Let's test the slower flow at the same 3 setting. Rinse out the test tube a couple of times, give that water a chance to process through, make sure we're actually testing the right water. Half the test tube, 2 drops of the reagent, and you can see that this is quite a bit darker. This is now more like a 10 on the pH scale, and that's at the same setting with a slower flow. Conversely, I can speed that flow up, and at a 3, get yet another pH reading. Rinse out the test tube, get about half. Once again, your 2 drops. And you can see that that's a blue. That's still with the machine at a 3, so you can begin to see the impact that the flow rate through the ionizer makes on the performance. You can use this actually as a feature to help you fine-tune the machine. Now I want to note that the colors you're never going to really hit the colors exactly. This is an approximation of the colors on the pH scale. So let's begin by looking at the different colors, starting on the acidic side with this test tube, which would represent about a 4. That's a pretty acidic water, and you'd use that for external purposes like washing your face or rinsing conditioner out of your hair or many other uses. Moving up the scale to a slightly acidic 6, which would be represented in this test tube, and then up to a neutral of 7 on the pH scale, which is this green test tube here. Most tap water is going to fall somewhere in this range, from the slightly acidic to maybe even the slightly alkaline. Moving up to the alkaline side to an 8, we see that in a nice blue test tube here, and that's where you'll want to start drinking the water. Let your body adjust slowly to the alkalinity. It may take a few days to a week. If you start at too high a pH level, you may experience mild detoxification symptoms, which actually shows that the machine in the water is doing its job as your body is flushing toxins. When you feel comfortable, you'll want to move from the blue color where you start to a light purple to try a higher level of alkalinity. Most people find that they're comfortable drinking the water between 8.5 and 9.5 on the pH scale. Although the machine is capable of producing higher levels of pH, upwards of 10 and higher, there's no reason to believe that the higher level is better for you. As a matter of fact, most people find that when they hit those higher levels of pH, the water actually tastes bad. Replacing the filter is easy. I'm tracing the filter housing door with my finger. We'll begin by finding the raised ridges on the edge and depress and swinging the door open and removing it completely. The filter mechanism is spring-loaded, so with two fingers we'll pull down and out and remove the old filter. Make sure you remove the filter cup and save this, as you'll want it for the replacement filter. This is your replacement filter. Let's remove it from the box. You'll notice it comes in a plastic bag. Let's take it out of the bag. And on either end you'll notice white caps covering the ports. You have to remove these white caps before you install the replacement filter. To put in the new filter is easy as well. We'll start by taking the filter cup and installing it on the replacement filter, installing that into the housing at the bottom, pushing on the spring-loaded mechanism to seat the top, and then giving it a good firm wiggle to make sure that it's in there straight. Next, we'll want to reset your filter life indicator. With the power button illuminated green, we'll depress it, turning the power button to red. Then right above the filter, we'll depress the reset button. You'll notice the numbers will come on and then revert to 0. The power button will revert to red, and we'll turn it back to green so that you can begin processing water again. Lastly, we'll reinsert the filter housing door by aligning the slots and snapping it into place. When the water first comes out of your ionizer, the very first time, there could be carbon dust, which will cause the color of the water to be slightly charcoal. Let the water run for approximately a minute until the water comes back out clear again. Replacing the calcium is easy too. You'll remember from the quick tour that the calcium port's located on top next to the drinking water spout. To remove it, you simply turn it and lift. If it's sticky, just use a butter knife to pry it up a little bit and it'll come right out. We remove the old calcium insert, discard of it, remove the plastic cover from the new insert, put it back in the cap, give it a twist, make sure it's in there firm, reinsert the cap into the port and turn it so that it's locked. If this isn't done, the water will leak from the top. Should you ever need to replace your fuse, the first thing you'll want to do is unplug your ionizer. Then, in the reagent kit bag, we included a spare fuse. Simply remove the black cap and the old fuse and replace it with the new fuse and thread the cap back on. Firm, but don't over tighten it. Then you can plug your ionizer back in and start processing water again. So there's no real magic in storing the water. There's just a couple of things you'll want to think about. You'll definitely want to avoid metal or stainless steel containers and the #1 PET containers like you'd buy bottled water in a convenience store. You can tell that it's a #1 PET bottle because there will be a #1 inside of a triangle on the bottom of the bottle. Avoid these. The acceptable containers are shown here. This is a Lexan container, which comes with a nice, convenient carrying handle. You can purchase these in good health food stores. It's a hard plastic, much harder than the #1 PET. Generally says Lexan on it, and on the bottom we'll have a #7 inside the triangle. But best is glass, and this is just simply a 1-quart juice container from any store. And the best way to store the water is to fill it all the way to the top with no air contact, tightly closed, and then cooled in the refrigerator. If that's not possible, it's okay because the healthful values will last for quite a while. Ideally, the water will keep for about 2 days if it's filled this way in a glass container all the way to the top and kept in the refrigerator. But absolutely, the best way to drink the water is fresh out of the machine in a glass and just straight down. I just wanted to take a minute to summarize a few key points about optimizing and getting the most out of your ionizer. First, learn to use and master testing the water with the reagent kit. Test your tap water and then test the various setting levels on the machine because they'll all be different. Everybody's tap water is different around the country. Some areas are acidic, some areas are quite alkaline, and that will impact the level of alkalinity that you're able to achieve with the machine. So learn to use and master the reagent test kit. Next, you want to always remember, in conjunction with the alkalinity button on the machine, to remember that the flow rate through the machine helps control the alkalinity as well. The faster the machine processes the water, the lower the alkalinity. The slower the machine processes the water, the higher the alkalinity. So play with the buttons in conjunction with your flow rate to achieve the optimum levels, again remembering to test. And finally, you'll want to start with the low pH and slowly, gradually ramp up to a higher. And then you'll settle somewhere in the alkaline range between blue and purple, and it's very different for everybody. Just remember to listen to the wisdom of your body. It'll tell you what it likes.